These are devotions for people at a social distance. I am moved by some events that took place yesterday in Minden, Ontario, up in cottage country. The story, and I'm sure I don't have all of the details perfectly correct, was that basically there was a 73-year-old man who went to a grocery store. Someone met him in one of the employees met him in the parking lot, reminded him, perhaps told him of the local bylaw mandating wearing masks inside, offered him a mask, at which point the man assaulted the employee. Things did not go well at the store, but later police were called, and later the police tracked the man down from his license plate, and he was shot and killed at his home. Wow, what do we think about events like that? And maybe there are some, I don't know, I haven't necessarily heard them, who might be tempted to exult over, here was a man who was acting in a reckless way, potentially endangering other people. Maybe some might say he only got what was coming to him, but I can't see it that way. This is absolutely a tragedy. This will affect many people's lives. The people in that store, the people in that community are traumatized by these events. There's no sense in which anyone could call this good news. This is deeply troubling. Reminded me, my thoughts turn to the story of Absalom in the Old Testament. Absalom revolted against his father, the king. There was a war, there was a battle. He was defeated and probably unnecessarily murdered, killed after the battle was over by the king's general. And this is just a little bit from, what chapter are we in? 2 Samuel 18. Then the Cushite came, and the Cushite said to King David, "Good tidings for my lord the king, for the Lord has vindicated you this day, delivering you from the power of all who rose up against you." The king said to the Cushite, "Is it well with the young man Absalom?" The Cushite answered, "May the enemies of my lord the king and all who rise up to do you harm be like that young man." The Cushite, of course, assuming that he is bringing good news to the king. The king does not receive that as good news. The king was deeply moved and went up to the chamber over the gate and wept. And as he went, he said, "Oh, my son Absalom, my son Absalom, would I had died instead of you. Oh, Absalom, my son, my son." Now, obviously, the whole Absalom story is very complicated in the book of 2 Samuel. There's a level at which, of course, the king recognized his own complicity in creating the conditions that allowed this whole thing to happen. But I think the key thing here is, in this moment of triumph, there is sorrow. In this moment of justice, there is only lament. And I just got to say, that's all I can feel today. As you hear stories, and there have been far too many people who, in some ways, seem to flout the advice of medical authorities, of sometimes local political authorities, and the way they behave, and then stories circulate about how they got their comeuppance, however that might be. I don't exult over these things, and I don't think we should. We lament. We lament that this is where we are. We lament at some of the ways in which media and society has manipulated people into this place where they feel as if they need to rebel or act out. I'm just sad at some of the places where we are. And you know what? That's okay. It's okay to lament. I want you to join me in my lament today. Dear God, as we look at people who are traumatized, who are hurt by these events in Minden, by similar events that have happened in many places, our hearts are breaking for some of the things that are going on. And yes, there is many tragedies. And yes, people need to behave differently and better. We lament that they are not. We pray for something better, something different, something to change. Yes, this has been such a hard time and we are weighed down and people are reacting. Give us hope. Give us peace. Give us life, dear God. Thank you that you understand where we are right now. Amen. That's where I am today. That's where you are some of these days. That's okay too. I hope God sends you a blessing on this day.